This is Comic Book Night. I'm Lacandor.
And I am Hanokh. All right, so this is our very first recording and show. And
And we have lots of noise from Hanokh.
listen, just calm down, okay? I have a squeaky chair.
I noticed.
I do. It's you don't usually notice this, but it's the truth. It will squeak. I'll oil it later on.
Right.
I don't know what oil you put on computer chairs, but I will Google and find it. So we have some exciting comic book news, don't we?
Yes. First article up for Comic Book News. Bruce Timm steps down as supervising producer of Warner Brothers Animation DC Universe line.
That is the end of an era.
It said he was stepping down so that he could work on personal projects.
I'm okay with that, as long as it's related to the DC Universe.
I'm really hoping it's better than animated Green Lantern.
Well, we don't know how much of, like a lot of people like that show, first of all, sir. Of course, a lot of people probably don't read the comics that show is based on and don't realize that half the characters are twice as awesome in that comic books.
Parts of it were really good, but every non-Green Lantern they brought on was really strange.
I thought you said Guy Gardner was true to form.
He's a Green Lantern.
Oh, right. So, I thought you said Saint Walker went pretty well.
Yeah, he did. I like Saint Walker. But, man, I hated what they did with Atrocitus and
I watched some of it.
Sinestro and Larfleeze.
Larfleeze.
I don't really like Larfleeze anyways, but, he didn't need to be Scooby-Doo mixed with Wile E. Coyote.
You got me again, Hal Jordan, you and your meddling kids of Green Lanterns.
Pretty much. But the new replacement, James Tucker, has been working with DC Universe for quite a while, it said, and would like to expand the DC Universe direct-to-video line to more than just Batman and Superman, such as the new Flash-oriented movie that's coming out here shortly.
Well, they had a Wonder Woman, like when they first started this, I remember, like back when Superman Doomsday came out, and I think the second one was The Last Frontier or something like that, The New Frontier, something like that adaptation. They had a really awesome Batman in it. But I remember that they had a Wonder Woman movie slated as well as a Teen Titans one based off of a comic book storyline, the Judas Chronicles or something.
Right.
But both of those got axed. So I'd be curious to see if he might try his hand at a Wonder Woman movie.
They also said...
They did release a Wonder Woman movie. And now that I think about it, I might just have been completely wrong with what I just said. Continue talking. I'm going to do some Googling.
They also said that he wants to do brand new stories as well as adaptations from comics. So that should be fun. All right, so our next story...
Yeah, they did release one. I take that back. I could have swore that they did. I could have swore that got canceled. I don't even remember it.
Well, I do not remember a Teen Titans one, so I'm sure that one...
Well, that one got canceled. I'm 100% sure on that. But there is a whole Wikipedia article on it, and Wikipedia doesn't lie.
Right.
I'll have to rewatch this again. I vaguely, now that I'm seeing the cover, I'm going to have to watch this again. Hey, it was produced, you know who it was written by?
Who?
Gail Simone was one of the writers for it. So it can't be that bad.
I've probably watched it, just don't remember it.
Well, it was released in 2008, so that was like 5 years. No, wow. 2009. So that's like forever and a day ago.
Yeah, I can't remember 4 years ago.
Yeah. Huh. All right, I'm getting distracted now. What's next? What's next here?
All right, our next storyline was...
storyline? I didn't know we had storylines now.
All right, I meant news story.
News story, same thing, right?
Right. Joshua Hale... I have no idea how to pronounce his name.
Fialkov.
Leaves Green Lantern Corps before his first issue is published.
Huh.
Cites editorial differences. He was involved. I don't know. I don't believe he said it, but people rumored that he was leaving because they wanted to kill off Jon Stewart, which is now officially
improvement to the book.
which is now officially denied. He did say he left because of editorial decisions about the direction of the book that conflicted with the story he was hired to tell, and felt it was better to let DC tell their story the way they want. Which
Yeah.
is actually a lot of these people are saying there's a lot of heavy editorial decisions. Uh,
Yeah, like let's see. I think that's like number 5 or 6, who's either forsworn DC like with a blood pact, which I believe Rob Liefeld did this last time.
right. Well, Gail
Thank God he's
Simone
gone.
was getting canned because of editorial differences, and then they caved, thankfully.
Oh yeah. Well, we will never really know what happened there until her tell-all memoir, probably 30 years down the line. Um, yeah, well, I mean, like I mean, look, they said Jeff Johns is, which I probably pronounced his last name wrong. He's supposed to be leaving in a few issues and finally concluding his ginormous 8-year Green Lantern run,
Hmm.
and they're getting rid of every creative. They're shaking up every creative team on those. I mean, Superman's went through I think 6 teams at this point, at least four teams of the Superman book. Each one probably more horrible than the last, but we'll,
Um, right. Well, I don't know. That just seems to be the way it goes on here. Is they keep changing who's doing what.
see. I get why they do that because it's like maybe it's not meshing or the sales start declining. You want to shake things up and get new. But the problem with that is
They don't
when
want another
I
Batman Incorporated.
Batman Incorporated. But when you do that, though, I mean, I think it takes a couple issues for you to really hit your stride. It's like, yeah, you're just starting to maybe start to, hit a stride with a storyline or something. Whoop! Sorry, we're
I,
going to discard that storyline now and just pretend it never happened.
I guess you could look at it that I mean storylines are short, just a few issues, so maybe they just hire people to do storylines.
Well, I mean, I believe I mean, like, I'm not like, comic book,
Right.
producer expert, but from the stuff I've read, through the interwebs, um, it seems like when you go there, you pitch a couple, like, they pitch, like, maybe one, two, or a dozen storylines, and DC will go, yes, that storyline for the Green Arrow sounds most pleasant. Write it for us, peon. And then, of course, editorial and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, I mean, I think you pitch a storyline. I don't think you just pitch a bunch of one shots. Um, you know.
Right. I mean, I you really do need a heavy editorial overview anyways to keep things cohesive. I definitely don't think that everybody should just be writing whatever story they feel like, because then you wind up with Batman Incorporated.
Well, in fairness, Grant Morrison, I mean, he's got like Frank Miller syndrome, I guess, because his early stuff is really good. I
Right,
mean, with
but
Batman related. I mean, his other stuff is really trippy. So the Action Comics thing, which we'll get to, didn't come out of left field to me. But yeah, we both don't really care for Green Lantern. I mean, Green Lantern Incorporated, Batman Incorporated. God help us if we ever get Green Lantern
we
Incorporated.
do. It's called Green Lantern Corps.
Uh,
All right. So our next news
yeah,
story,
we'll be here for 3 years if we keep going.
Superman Unchained, will be Scott Snyder's story that he always wanted to do with Superman.
Yeah, yeah, I'm excited. I love Scott Snyder. I didn't start here. I don't even know who this guy was, of course, until we started reading Batman, and I just love what he's done with Batman, and I love the previous. Well, he said when he was allowed to pitch a story for the Joker, he said his was it a Death in the Family? No, it was a play on a Death in the Family. What was the title of that storyline? Uh, Death of the Family, right?
Right, Death of the Family.
Death of the Family, right? Because the original one was a Death in the Family, and that was Jason Todd's thing.
Right.
So he said that if he got one storyline to write with the Joker, that was going to be it, and that was amazing. So I
Yes.
am super excited for what he's going to be doing with Superman Unchained.
Yes. All right. And then our next, our final news story here. April starts the next wave of cancellations. We've only got two this month, DC Universe Presents and I, Vampire. But May has a huge axe coming down. Free of Firestorm, Savage
Yes.
Hawkman, Ravagers, Deathstroke, Team 7, and Sword of Sorcery.
So let's talk about this for a second. I am a sad panda that DC Universe Presents is leaving us. Um, they gave us that awesome Vandal Savage three-parter, like
Right.
the Hannibal Lecter Vandal Savage, but
Yeah, it was, it was fun. And the Vandal Savage one was very excellent. I didn't really care for the Starfire one last month, but Jason, no, it wasn't Jason Todd. It was Arsenal month before, or whatever his name is.
yeah, it's Arsenal. It's Arsenal.
All I could think of was Speedy, and I knew that wasn't it.
It's Speedy, then he was Red Arrow, and now he's Arsenal. You know.
Yes.
I
But
I
I mean,
love it
it's
when he was chasing them down with a toolbox. Remember that? Do you remember that
right.
one
Yes.
where they're like, he's got a toolbox. What? What? The other guards like, what? What? Get back in there and fight him. But he's got a toolbox. Like, yeah, I just use arrows for nostalgia. You think he said like nostalgia or something? I could actually kill people with any type of edged weapon.
Yes. I never really saw the point for it though because they already do little one-shots and four-part miniseries. So if you're already going to have that, do you really need a comic specifically for that?
See, I disagree with your assessment there. It was a showcase to show off things that like, little things that you might not be able to get it. Like remember the Blue Demon and I think it was it Black Thunder? Was that it? I just remember was it Black Thunder? It was Blue Demon, wasn't
Black
it?
Lightning
Black. Oh, I was close. At least Black was in the name, so I don't get accused of being a
and Blue
racist.
Devil.
Blue Devil. Oh, so what did I say? I
Blue
said Blue
Demon and
Devil.
Black Thunder.
I said Black Thunder and Blue Devil. At least I got the Devil guy right. But like I liked that, and
But I'm not saying they couldn't have it. I'm just saying there wasn't a point of having DC Universe Presents. You could just had a three-shot miniseries
yeah,
in its place because it's not there's no recurring hold together theme for DC Universe Presents. It's just little miniseries.
right, right. I guess I see your point there. I guess,
So
but
just because they're canceling it, they're not stopping miniseries.
right, but I think the point of that is to because the whole point is to get people to subscribe and get the same comics every month. So if I mean comic book it's going to my comic book shop or looking online, and if I consistently got good stories out of DC Universe Presents that I enjoyed, I would then be more likely to continue buying it for the next month as opposed to one shot where or a multi a mini series kind of thing where I might not be willing to give it that try. Maybe
But
that's
you still don't get repeats of the characters.
that's true. All right. Well, we are sad about iVampire leaving. I think we can at least agree on that.
Yeah, but I mean it pretty much devolved into a Constantine comic anyways, and
Nothing wrong with that.
that's true. But how many
There,
Constantine comics do we need? He is quickly becoming
the new Batman
Batman.
in everything
He's
permeate.
in everything.
Well, we've talked about this before, where once a comic like announces its cancellation, we see a steady degrading of the storyline as it rushes to get done before the cancellation date. So
That hasn't really happened in our Vampire though.
no, I mean they might have played it out. They could always pad it out for a couple more issues. I didn't really think like Constantine was. I don't. I mean, and of course, when Constantine appears, he steals the show because he's John Constantine. But I mean, I felt like it meshed well with him in there because don't forget, what's his face, Andrew Bennett, showed up a couple times in Justice League Dark. So
Right. I
they
assume he.
established previously that they're kind of buddy buddies in the same universe sort of thing. Well, not friends, but what I mean. They're going to show
Right.
up like Swamp Thing. Over Hellblazer's run, Swamp Thing was a recurrent character. So
Mm.
I felt like I didn't feel like it was a bad thing, but I am sad to see it go.
Well,
I enjoyed Andrew Bennett to a
oh,
certain.
I like the comic. I thought it was good. It's not just abruptly ending like some of the other ones, though.
No, no, I mean
It
there's
is
a storyline and
finishing what is basically the iVampire storyline.
right. Well, they're bringing in Cthulhu or something here in the next comic probably, but What's
Uh,
that? Rocks fall and everyone dies as an ending. Is
yeah,
that
something like that.
so? Yeah.
And then for May, we've got finally the end of Fury of Firestorm.
This is amazing. This is amazing that
I,
it's finally ending.
I really like Batgirl, so I don't understand how Gail Simone writes Batgirl and started Fury of Firestorm.
Well, I think she was only there for a few issues. I don't think she's on it now.
It doesn't matter. Every month was Firestorm fighting another Firestorm
Yeah,
with
for like the first.
no points, no plot, no anything. And now it's sort of got a plot because it's getting canceled.
Right. Well, the first year I was, they were split, and there was two firestorms that every country had its own firestorm. Remember that one Russian firestorm, like who was killing all the
Right.
other ones or something? You remember that vaguely? He like captured
Yes.
Ronnie and like,
I remember.
yeah, yeah. And so that was like the first 12 issues. Then we had, I think that's when Gail Simone came out, was after that. And then she was like, yep, back to normal Firestorm where they combined together.
Yeah.
And then we had Captain Atom who classed up the comic for a couple issues.
Right.
Rest, rest in peace, Captain Atom. Then they blew him up. Well,
Right.
spoilers, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Oh, there will be spoilers.
Yeah, we should probably have said at the beginning, everything we say is spoilers for everything. Everything is spoiled.
Well, you can't discuss the comics for the week without spoilers, so
And, and spoilers going back in time, too.
back in time spoilers. Wow.
We spoil everything.
Timey-wimey,
Spacey
spacey
Wasty.
wasty.
Spoilers for Doctor Who. I got tangent. Oh yeah, so that's it. Then Gail Simone, and then what do we got now? What have they been doing? What did it? His
Boring
mom, the
me?
guy's mom got kidnapped, and they're all like,
Oh yeah, that's right.
"Tell me."
You're right. Right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sad to see it go. I never cared for it.
I never cared for. Oh, hey, how about that supporting cast for Fury of Firestorm? You know who I found to be a compelling character? His father or the other guy's mother, right?
There was a supporting cast. They just appeared out of nowhere, and he used his power to try and free her because he's going to turn the machine into tissue paper.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
instead what did it do?
Um,
It powered up that guy.
remember it was fusion fission, so he was
Oh
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought that was a great idea.
right, because I remember you going, wow, that was actually a decent idea,
That was a decent idea.
and then they messed it up.
Right.
Bungled. Hey, remember that one? You know who's another person who doesn't even appear anymore? Remember that organization that quote unquote recruited them? Remember that about
Yeah,
like
but
six?
old Dr. Mingala there, or whatever his name was, got.
He's a that's a separate secret organization. You're getting your secret organizations confused.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, no, I'm
Yeah, 'cause
not.
it was like she was all like, "If you don't work for me, we're gonna make life very hard for your family."
Oh wait, that's the guy from Captain Atom, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, that was Captain Adam's handler.
Yeah. I don't know.
That
The
was
Fury of
Christina.
Firestorm and Captain Atom are the same kind of people, so
Right.
I didn't. I don't know. Anyways, Savage Hawkman is going, which it deserves to be put down at this point.
Rob Liefeld, man, the
Yeah,
taint
I
of
know.
Rob
Everything he touched.
is dead.
Uh,
Everything he touched dies.
well, it
Man,
was. I thought it was
remember
good.
how good it
Yeah,
was before he came on board?
I know.
Remember that Static Shock team up?
Vaguely.
I remember enjoying that thoroughly because
Well, that's
Static
because you
Shock
like
kind of
Static
sucked.
Shock.
Static Shock, that comic sucked, and I was a fan of the TV show, so I know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And but man, that team up, it was like normal Static was in that Savage Hawkman comic.
Yeah. Then we got the Ravagers, which
Well,
I don't
that's why you don't have the Ravagers in the comic called the Ravagers.
I don't think they ever got a fair shake. That comic was all over the place. There was too much Superboy crossover, and then
Uh,
they had that Rose Wilson and Warblade stuff in there for 2 or 3 comics, and it only lasted like 8 comics. So
I think that comic was just there so that they could have another comic to stick their Harvest storyline into.
well, they started with the Ravagers. The first couple issues were really good, and then they did that
So
thing where
we
those
didn't care for Fairchild. We never cared for the redhead.
right, but then they had that dude come from outer space and attack the Earth, and
Oh, I remember that now.
everybody was there. The
And
Leader
that had the best
lost.
Superboy characterization ever. Remember he acted.
Right.
activated his robot kill mode, and he just said kill, maim, destroy, and just attack things for 3 comics.
Right, but that got tied up in there, and Superboy's storyline is spilling over in there, so they never even got to have their own storyline other than like maybe 4 comics.
And they were pretty decent characters, and then they literally are going to kill them off with Deathstroke
Right, and
now.
then they did kill some of them off with Deathstroke.
Your favorite one got killed.
Yes, yeah, kill Ridge right off the bat, thanks.
Right.
And then Deathstroke is canceled.
They have to cancel him because he got tainted by Arrive. You know, he really clawed his way back from the team.
Yeah, that one's been good the last couple issues. When
He recovered, but now they're just going to use him to literally cancel every other comic that they cancel.
Yeah, because he's in Team 7, which is getting canceled, killing off their people.
Maybe he'll kill them all off.
I hope so. I do not like Team 7.
We never cared for that. I hate Amanda Waller in this universe.
Right.
I hate Amanda Waller. I can't stand any of those characters. It isn't. And hey, and then they have that really junk version of your favorite.
My favorite.
My favorite, but it was also tainted. Grifter. It was also
Grifter,
tainted.
which was good at the beginning.
So it got tainted by Rob Liefeld.
Right.
And then
So
developed
Liefeld tainted it.
powers.
Yeah, and then, I don't know, I didn't like Team 7 at all. It was just too weird, and I never saw Deathstroke as being a member of a team.
Remember the first issue of Deathstroke? He teams up with those children. And then at the end, he kills them all and says, I don't work with children.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Oh, we love that comic. I love that comic.
And then, Sword of Sorcery.
You know, I really liked Sword of Sorcery.
I shockingly liked Sword of Sorcery. I didn't think I was going to because it's girly gym world and bright colors and
well, it's got a compelling storyline. It's like Game of Thrones done by DC.
I know it was done really well, and the backups with Beowulf and Stalker were both really good.
I enjoyed both of them, and the John Constantine tie-in.
John Constantine, of course, because
that's just icing on the delicious cake.
Yep. So that's the April and May cuts, and then May starts the new wave of comics. In May we get the Green Team, which to me sounds like the Dragon's Den. I don't remember what the American one's called, but the British one is Dragon's Den, where people come in and present their ideas and hope that the rich people will give them money. It kind of sounds like that.
Oh, they have that. It's like Shark Tank. They have a thing called Shark Tank.
Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's like, yeah, with these venture capitalists.
Right.
Yeah, I never watched it. I just saw it. Presents Shark Tank.
Or it's kind of like the bank from Despicable Me.
That would be awesome. I would watch that.
You know, it used to be the Lehman Brothers. And then the Movement, which is supposed to show the DC universe from the aspect of the poor and downtrodden or something like that, which I called the 99%ers of the DC universe in our notes here.
Occupy Metropolis.
Yeah, I don't know. I
actually didn't look it up. Continue talking. I apologize.
I mean that's all it said really that it's supposed to be about is the poor and the downtrodden and in the wake of everything that goes on. See, that's what to talk about a canceled comic. That's what GI Combat should have been, was DC Universe from the point of the everyday common human.
Being written by Gail Simone.
Right. You know, I'm not saying I have no opinion of it yet. I mean, I can't even.
I have to disagree with your assessment of this comic. Right off the bat.
Okay.
There are the reason why is because the first line in the little blip on DC is, "We are faceless, we are limitless, we see all, and we do not forgive." That is totally anonymous.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally anonymous.
I honestly grabbed my information this time.
I really hope it's a bunch of script kiddies.
I grabbed my information from Wikipedia this time.
See, you have to go for the corny material found on DC Comics.
Right.
Stop using legitimate sources of information.
When I first read about it, I said this was anonymous for DC.
Yeah. Defends the powerless against the greedy and the corrupt.
That's the word I was looking for. Powerless. It's supposed to be for the downtrodden and powerless, not poor.
Like those who abuse the system know this as well. We have our own superhumans now. A badge to release and will not be silenced. And we are your children.
So yeah, I
Fight the power.
I don't
No, no.
know.
It says the play of the 99% is coming to mainstream superhero comics. So they are billing this as Occupy
Right.
movements. We're both right.
Sure. I I don't know either one. I just I know what DC said, and then what I wrote down here in the notes was from the Wikipedia page where I was getting the list of canceled comics. Um, and then in June we get the new Batman Superman.
Ooh, okay. I loved that was one of the few comics I read before we really started reading comics with the new reboot. The Batman Superman comics, I loved. I mean, some of them weren't were lower quality, but the Superman Batman comics, oh man, I love that. And they made those two awesome movies from it too.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. If they can keep the writing of Batman in it and maybe this new Superman in it, it'll be good.
I have hopes for this,
And then speaking of Superman, the next new comic we get in June is Superman Unchained,
which we already talked
which we already
about.
talked about, which hopefully will be awesome. And then the one I'm not really looking forward to is the new Green Lantern comic, Larfleeze.
Well, yeah, the backups for Larfleeze are garbage.
I don't
I mean,
like
they're funny garbage, but
Larfleeze.
they're like they just don't really fit. Like I get the whole Larfleeze is so funny, but it's a completely different tone than every other Green Lantern thing we've encountered to this point.
Right. Yeah.
And it's not done well.
No, I don't know. I'm not really looking forward to it. I don't really like most of the Green Lantern comics as is, so
I know.
and then the last one listed was Trinity of Sin Pandora.
They're building up to their big Trinity War.
So I guess we'll finally get to read Pandora's story, huh?
They're never going to give us any real details on how that works with Flashpoint.
Instead of her standing around complaining with Judas there and who's
You mean the Phantom Stranger?
I mean the
Please,
Phantom Stranger.
please
Who's
call him by his proper name.
who's the other one? There are three of them.
That's the question now is part of that.
Yeah, but there was a third one with him. Who was the third one that was with him?
And that when she showed up,
Yeah.
the Spectre you talking about?
Oh yeah, the Spectre. I couldn't remember who
Yeah,
else was
yeah.
there. So I don't know. That one could be good.
I mean, I'm curious. I mean, they popped her butt into 52 comics the first month,
I know because
and
she's so important. 19
where is
comics
this
later, we've
go?
barely seen her.
Yeah, then we spent a year before we got any real details. Really cute, DC, really cute.
Yes, and that's the news.
All right, let's actually talk about comic books
All right,
that we read today.
that we read today. Comic book number one is Action Comics number 19.
I like this
I
comic.
liked it too.
I feel dirty for saying that after coming
I
off of 3 months of junk Grant Morrison hippie storyline acid trip nonsense.
The problem is I get the two Superman and Action Comics confused in my
Me
head,
too. Me too.
so I don't know which is which. All I know is that this is the first Superman comic since they rebooted that has seemed like Superman to me.
Yeah, I mean the first couple issues of Action Comics with Golden Age Superman, I mean it was a slightly different Superman, but it did still seem like Superman. Of course, it also seemed like Peter Parker.
And then it quickly devolved into I fake my own death and I go be a fireman for a couple of issues.
Everything went to hell when they introduced the Legion of Superheroes. Remember when they invaded Superman's brain or something?
When they were just randomly in his head in a room.
Oh gosh, that's
Yes.
when everything went to hell.
But this comic was really good. Although one thing really made me laugh was him saying, I don't like bullies. Because I don't think there's anyone in the DC universe as much as a bully as Superman.
Explain that.
Uh, if you don't do it the way he thinks is right, he will punch you in the face.
To be fair, he really only has two emotions. Lois! Punch.
Uh, I mean, okay, so in the DC reboot, we really haven't seen it that much other than I don't know, the Hell crossover event where
Oh, right. Where
he
he was
just
like,
straight up
you're with
punches Hell without
Supergirl.
even talking to him first.
Right.
Um,
You seem scary to me. I gotta punch you now. In fairness, he probably just thought he was another kryptonite monster after 5 of them in a row for 5 months.
right. There's no unfairness. Shouldn't the man who's supposed to be truth and justice try to talk out issues first before he punches people in the face?
Hmm. You're implying that. Well, and, oh, don't forget, he's supposed to be the second smartest person in the world too,
Right, right.
as
But
established by Lex Luthor in that one, when they decided to spend a weekend, just spend a Superman comic just wandering over to Lex Luthor's prison with Superboy and just chat with him for a little while.
you mean in the middle of their limited issues crossover event?
Yes, let's have some padding.
Let's waste a whole comic on talking to Lex Luthor, and then we'll waste a whole comic on a storyline that we stole straight from Dragon Ball Z.
Which part?
The one where they went to that other planet to stop those two guys who were using
Oh
illusions to control
yeah,
everything.
yeah. Oh man, that was like that's when they got blasted by that one rant, another one of the MacGuffins that were in
When they
Superman's house.
right when they got blasted through to another dimension,
Where she
and
was like,
it's
"Yeah, this is
Superboy.
another death contraption that I couldn't destroy that I just keep locked up in my fortress." Whoops.
Yeah. But man, this new Action Comics, oh please keep this storyline. This one and Green Arrow, please do not let go of the new versions of Superman and Green Arrow because they are awesome compared to what you've been having.
Yeah, because I mean, in this comic, in Action Comics, we have a classic, sexual tension. I can't date her because I'm Superman. Classic Superman Lois Lane interaction. Then we have a Superman that actually acts like Superman, who fights like Superman. Giant robots, great art. I really enjoyed the art in this comic.
Yes.
Then we move to my. This is Lex Luthor. We haven't
Right.
had Lex Luthor up until this point.
Right.
That scene with the psychologist where he's keeping her
Yes.
prisoner,
That's awesome.
awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And then his plan is equal parts amazing and equal parts goofy. And I love that. I will
Yes.
rewrite Superman's genetic code. I bet she gave him a kryptonite hand.
I don't know, but it's pretty awesome. Uh, all right, so our next comic was Batwing, and I just have to say, Luke Fox. It's going to be amazing.
That is a smart move to introduce, because we really haven't seen much of Lucius. Um, and now I think we see why it's the smartest and safest Batsuit, because it's going to his son probably.
Oh, yeah.
So that explains why I was like, because they were like, it's the smartest and safest suit yet.
Well, Alfred said, so now you're going to go with your first choice for Batwing?
Right.
So, I mean,
I'm
I don't,
assuming it's just denied him the first time.
I'd like to know what they're going to do with the whole previous Batwing's country and stuff, but um, I don't know. Is Luke Fox going to Africa?
I doubt it. I
Somebody's
have to
got to
find my
because they talked
roots.
about it a dozen times this week.
I think what that is either maybe there's going to be a backup to the Batwing, you know what I mean? Like a second comic that follows
Yeah.
original Batwing. But I love original Batwing. He
Yeah,
is
he
a
was awesome.
How awesome was he this week for his send-off? He
Yes.
takes down everybody.
Yeah, it was really good.
I mean, that's what happens when you piss off Batwing.
Yeah, I'd like to know what he's going to do now. He quit the police force and
Well, it's because his Alfred died.
quit being Batwing, and his Alfred died, and he said he's got to go off to find himself and become a better man. So I don't know. It
Well,
was
it'd be kind of fun if he teamed up with Red Hood and the Outlaws for a little while.
I don't know. It was just awesome Batwing, like always. That's been one of my favorite comics since the reboots. Is Batwing.
Yeah, this Luke Fox has big shoes to fill.
Yes, but that's pretty cool. He's gonna be uh, basically part of the Batman family already to go in with.
Well, I'm hoping this gives us some interesting Lucius Fox characterization because of all the Batman characters, Lucius Fox pretty much never gets any screen time in any kind of sense, really, because he's just Lucius has devised a cure. Lucius has maybe a new bat suit. Look at the new toy Lucius gave me. He doesn't really, really because there is no
Right.
play. He runs the company on a day-to-day basis, so it makes sense that he isn't usually there. But it'd be interesting to have some fun exploring his character.
Yeah, he's definitely not been Morgan Freeman. So
Oh, Morgan Freeman. Remember uh, remember that South Park episode where every time he gives an exposition, he gets another freckle.
yes. All right. The next comic was, man, 80-page Detective Comics.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was awesome. There were a lot of good stories. It was multiple stories. The first two were kind of connected.
Wait, you forgot to say what issue number this is.
Oh, sorry, issue number 19. I didn't say issue number. Oh, and issue number 900.
There you go.
Uh,
Really, issue number 900.
they celebrated their 900th issue by calling it, "What about the 900?"
Yeah, it was a little shoehorned in, but I was okay with it. I mean, it's a 900th issue. You can't expect, you know.
Excellent backstory for the Man Bat. I like the origin story for Man Bat.
This is the first retooled origin story we've actually really liked, I think.
Penguins. I liked Penguins.
Oh man, that miniseries.
Yes.
That miniseries. Oh man, I actually started caring about the Penguin after that.
Yeah, it was mostly just
I hope he
Dr.
takes that one.
Freeze that they screwed up terribly.
Oh, oh yeah,
Or Mr. Freeze.
that thing's an abomination.
Yeah.
Why you don't have to mess with something that's perfect. The Mr. Freeze origin story that Bruce, Tim, and those guys came up with was perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. You don't need to mess with it. You want to add some details? Go ahead. But you don't need to retool perfection.
But yeah, so back to Detective Comics. Man Bat, Man Bat 2, that's what I called the first two stories. Were excellent. So now I like the whole in the second one where his wife is like, it's all about the family and then turned herself into a Man Bat.
She can somehow reach him.
Yeah. The third story, I'll be excited to see Bane take on the Court of Owls. Of course, he has to do it in Talon, but
Well, you know what? You were complaining about the Talon being kind of slow and boring, and they've basically been hinting that Batman's going to be poking his cowl into it eventually. So,
right.
nothing like a Bane storyline crossover to get Batman's butt into it.
Yes. And then the fourth story was more Emperor Penguin, only
Which I'm okay with.
told from the point of view of Mr. Combustible, I think they called him.
I just call him Captain Lightbulb.
He looks weird. I don't understand how he's supposed to work, but
Apparently he's a light bulb. I don't know. We could Wikipedia him if we really
yeah,
should.
I don't know who he is. I'm assuming he's a plasma entity and just happens to be in a thermometer shape.
But really, because it looks like a light bulb to me.
Well, yeah, but I mean he's skinny and he's got a big bulb on the end of his head, so
Oh my God.
I was thinking thermometer, but yeah, he is shining like a light bulb. But yeah, it was pretty good too.
Shape is like a light bulb. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm stuck on this light bulb thing. I just this weird thing for this light bulb.
I don't know. Mostly they just they were getting Penguin back out of prison in that one, so
The boys are back in town.
there's gonna be a huge war coming probably between Emperor Penguin and the Penguin.
I really like this. I mean, I've never really been exposed to Emperor Penguin before this, but
Me
I really
neither.
enjoyed his. Okay, he totally looks like a light bulb. I am looking at it right now.
Okay, he looks like a light bulb.
Yeah, he looks like a light bulb. Okay, I'll let it go now. I promise. But yeah, no, I really enjoy the.
Penguin called him a light bulb in the comic.
Did he?
Yeah.
Good, because he is a light bulb, and I really enjoy. I'm really going to enjoy the interplay between the Penguin and Emperor Penguin, and I find them both pretty interesting characters. I mean, we're really sort of, right now they're trying to establish that Emperor Penguin is just as much of a serious business guy as a Penguin, even more so.
Right.
I mean, the whole Man Bat plan was amazing.
Yeah.
He made $85 million in 35 minutes.
I don't know. He just feels like some upstart to me that needs to be slapped down.
Well, that's hopefully what's going to happen, where Penguin waddles out of prison and goes, "Let me show you how it's done, old school style," and takes a penguin umbrella and attacks him with it.
And then the last story was the cops, and
I thought that was the weakest of all the stories.
that's the only one I wrote down a thing from was the cops. I really liked the how the cops have two sides, and they're either for or against Batman. And that one cop's like, if you choose Batman, then nobody's gonna want to partner with you. And the other guy's like, yeah, I'll partner with you. And then she says, who's gonna watch her back? So he goes, well, Batman, of course.
I did like the ending. I mean, it was a pretty obvious and safe ending, but I just felt like, I don't know. I just felt like they could have done more with it. Like it wasn't horrible. I just felt
Well, the
compared to
whole
the other stories, it was a little weak.
the whole comic was like a anthology comic, so
Right, which with threads for later on
right.
storylines.
So it was all just tiny stories anyway, so they didn't really have a whole lot of time to go with it. But um, and that was Detective Comics, and I thought it was pretty good.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, I thought this was really good.
the next comic, not so much. Dial H. Can't stand this comic. Haven't liked it since issue one.
I I didn't get on the hate wagon as quickly as you did.
I know.
I didn't. I mean, I didn't really like the first issue, but I thought it had some potential. And that one issue where they have like the dials way back in time. Remember that one?
You mean like when they tried to give it a storyline?
Right, when they had the stone dial. Like I enjoyed that until they actually dialed somebody in that comic. Was another idiot. For people who don't actually, we don't really say what these comics are about because we assume you're reading them or wikiing them or something. For Dial H, since nobody should be spending their money on this except for us, uh, you should know that Dial H is about this fat moron who gets this dial in a telephone booth where he dials hero, the letters in a rotary dial phone, and it turns him into the dumbest hero that you can think of.
Cluck a hoop.
I was waiting for you to bring up Cluck-a-Hoop. And so then he meets up with some really old chick who wears a mask, who also knows stuff about the dials,
Who
and
rapes
she's
him?
Dial Hero. And then there's this one storyline where the operator on the line or something comes out and tries to attack them and can turn off dials and is basically God
The fixer.
until Cluck-a-Hoop, which is literally a
Oh,
chicken head
Ex
with a
Nihilo.
hula hoop.
Ex
Huh?
Nihilo.
Yeah, Ex Nihilo. Yeah, the dumbest. Yeah, the guy was a moron
That guy
too.
was awesome.
In his couple first appearances, and he got stupid.
No, the creature, the one Cluck a hoop finish. That thing was awesome.
Oh! I got it confused with the centipede guy. I apologize.
Oh no, not the centipede guy. No.
Cluck-a-Hoop, right? Who is this hula hoop with a chicken on its head, and he is the most powerful man to defeat Ex Nihilo, the big bad, up until that point.
Which was just a creature from the void beyond space-time.
Right, because they know what they're really talking about. Let's talk about the rape scene.
Yeah, let's talk about the rape scene.
You know what? You talk about the rape scene.
You mean where they suddenly have a sidekick dial and they dial the guy who does whatever he's told to do, and she told him to sleep with him, and so he does. And then they try to blame it on, or she tries to blame it on something else, and then he dials the Flash.
That was this week. So last month's exciting. Well, we have mentioned Centipede too. So there's this guy who's part of the Canadians, because there's like 50 secret organizations, and even Canada needs a secret agent organization. And there's this guy named the Centipede who can they explain what his power does, but basically he can
He has a power other than just being a bunch of people. I didn't know he had
that's
a
what I
power.
mean. He can be a bunch of people. So he can
And he
take
has an
down
ant head. Don't forget about that ant helmet.
Oh my God, that ant helmet. What a worthless thing.
I
But
don't know what
yeah,
he's got it for. I don't know where it came from. I'm
no,
not
no,
sure
it's a communication device. It lets him see things. Because remember, he was able to see him as the Blur
Yeah, but
with
what did
that
he do?
ant.
Did he skip over to the Marvel universe and steal
Ant-Man.
steal Ant-Man's helmet? I don't understand where it came from.
I think he gave a one-away line where it maybe came from. I think, but I'm
Cut the
too
head off a giant ant and then hollowed it out.
obviously. Isn't that how you make your equipment?
I guess
That's how
so.
Batman makes his batarangs.
Right.
So,
He
uh,
he puts a bat in between the pages of a book and waits for him to dry out.
quiet, Alfred. I'm trying more bats for my batarang. Master Bruce, I don't think you need to freeze them before you do it. Quiet up, Fred. I gotta jam explosive down its windpipe. Why is that, Master Bruce? How else do you make an exploding batarang? That'd be hilarious if that's how they made bat.
Yeah, that's not how it works. Anyways, Dial
I,
H. It's stupid.
Well, they said it was consent last month because she's like, "Is this really you or the dial? This is what I really want," or something, and then they
Oh,
start kissing, and then they wake up in
it's
the bath.
not that I have to obey orders. It's just that I really, really want to.
That's like consent. It's like rounding up to consent. that, that counts, right? We're rounding up to consent here.
And then
Uh,
this week or this month, he dialed the Flash
well, you forget that's how they were able to avoid the rape controversy this way because he wakes up in bed with her and immediately
because it was a distraction.
he immediately acts shocked and like, what did we do last night? I can't believe this happened. And then he accuses her of rape in that comic.
Right.
Like, you made me do that because I was a sidekick. Why do I just sidekick up? That's not what it was like. That's not what it was like. And then suddenly he's the Flash, and so they could just avoid the whole issue because all of a sudden he's the Flash, and a big bad guy's coming to get them.
The Fixer.
The Fixer.
Yes. That's a comic I hope gets canceled soon because I
It
cannot stand it.
it will. Please. If there's a just and loving God, and there is, it'll get canceled.
And then our next comic is one of my favorites,
My favorites too.
Earth 2.
We love Earth too.
Oh, wait. Dial H was number 11, and Earth 2 is number 11.
I just meant to say the number for that one because it was
Oh, because it was 900.
right. But yeah, these are all issue 9. We I mean, I guess we can say the numbers. Huh? Who knows? We'll just figure it out as we go along.
Right.
We feel like it. We'll say the numbers.
Right. Earth 2 was amazing. Earth 2 was amazing every month.
Yeah, every month.
They need to expand the Earth 2 comic book list.
Everything that's junk needs to just get axed and replaced with Earth 2 spin-offs.
I mean, this comic was awesome with Jay Garrick and Khalid or whatever his name is there becoming Dr. Fate.
And they had a reference to the original Dr. Fate. That was that throwaway line.
Right, and they'd be bringing in Big Barda and the Miracle next time.
That is amazing. I can't even imagine what they're going to be like in this. I mean, this Dr. Fate's amazing. This Wotan is amazing.
Yes.
I mean, like, what a silly kind of, like, I looked at her backstory, and,
It's a her.
well,
It's a
I don't
her.
know.
Just because she's in a man's body, it's still a her.
Well, did she originally start out as her?
Yes.
All right, fine. We'll say Wotan.
That was in the comic book this time.
She's a her. Yeah, so, reading up on her backstory, I mean, like, it's like, it could go either way. I'm like, wow, this is really good. Even Jake Garrick's mom.
The only thing I thought was a little goofy was the fact that Naboo turned her into the Wicked Witch of the West.
Well, he said that,
He made it so her skin is green every time she's born.
right. Well, I think part of that was, you have to work within the convention.
I know, but it's still funny to me.
It is still fun. I mean, he used a rhyming spell for Pete's sake. Extra grand.
But everything else was awesome.
Yeah.
I love that her immortality spell just causes her reincarnations to remember everything she knew from before.
Right.
That's awesome.
It's smartly done. It's a great comic. The art is amazing. How about that last panel with Dr. Fate?
Yes.
How about the fact that he's called Dr. Fate because the guy was a doctor and wants to exert some tiny measure of willpower?
I love the part where Naboo turned himself into a sphinx.
That was awesome.
Earth 2, man, that's just so awesome. I love seeing all those characters from a brand new point of view and being so well done every time.
Every time.
Which makes me sad for some of the other new rebooted storylines, like what they did to Mr. Freeze that we already talked about. I don't know how the people can do Earth 2 with brand new storylines for new versions of the characters and screw up the new versions of the main characters.
Right. You think Earth 2 would be more difficult to pull off, and I would argue that it is, but they pull it off masterfully and bungle it. But this is the Wonder Woman effect, right? Wonder Woman in her comic is completely boring.
All right.
Wonder Woman in Batwoman is amazing.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, so Earth 2 was amazing. Next comic is Green Arrow, which has just had an amazing reboot itself,
You mean
which
Arrow? Let's just call it what
it's
it is.
not Arrow because there's already an Arrow comic out there.
It's Arrow.
It's not Arrow. It really is a lot like the Green Arrow or the Arrow television show. But the reboot since the Arrow television show started is awesome. I was wishy-washy about the whole Green Arrow comic. It had its good moments, it had its bad moments. It wasn't really
Well,
great,
it was inconsistent characterization.
but but every issue since the new group came in has been awesome.
Right, and my big issue with it is my big issue with the Green Arrow comic, right, is they would jump from it was like Superman syndrome. It just jumped from one
Yes.
storyline to the next to the next to the next. Even like issue to issue, there was huge changes.
Yes.
Like they didn't even do like 2 or 3 issue groups, and we're just like, what the heck is going on? And then of course the Green Arrow that we see in Justice League is completely different than the Green Arrow that was in the Green Arrow.
Well, of
I remember
course.
when they went to China for a couple issues, like they were trying to find themselves, and then they immediately abandoned that. But this is good.
I know, and I liked that story with the robot people. You remember that one?
What was that?
I liked the story with the robot people.
With the robot people. Oh yeah.
Just
Didn't they
like
all die at the end?
that was like right before or right after he went to China.
Yeah. Didn't they all die at the end or something?
I don't remember. It's been too long, but I just remember I really liked that one, and I really liked the one with the triplet girls. But everything else was kind of meh.
Yeah, I didn't really care as much for the
Oh,
girls.
come on, that part was so funny.
It was funny. I don't know. I guess it was just such a weird thing coming out from their first storyline.
But see,
Um,
to me, Green Lantern is Green Lantern. Sorry, I meant Green Arrow. Green Arrow and Batman are very similar types of characters. Like they're both billionaires, and um, they both have their secret identities and their special tech weapons. But Batman is a much more serious character, and Green Lantern is more. Or I keep saying Green Lantern because I'm looking at the Green Lantern note here. Green Arrow is more
should
like
just
the
call it Arrow.
billionaire playboy version of Batman,
Right.
and so the whole triplet thing just seemed to really fit his personality. Now the new Arrow on the television and the Green Arrow in the comics is much more serious, but
Mhm.
he's not the same kind of serious as Batman is. So he's
Right.
still
Well,
his own character, but they've made him much more
darker.
darker and more like a superhero and less like he's drunk and tripsing from bad guy to bad guy like he has been.
You mean
So
Ultimate Universe Tony Stark?
right.
um, but yeah, I completely agree with that. I liked what I liked about this comic is we had a little bit of humor. You know, there was like some funny little one-liners and you know, it feels like they're hitting a stride with this new Green Arrow.
It's really good. I
I'm really
really like
impressed.
this fight with Komodo,
Right.
and then Komodo's daughter shows up at the end there, but they're shooting arrows at each other, and he's like, "Oh, I just grabbed the wrong arrow," and it explodes and throws him off the building. Um, it was really good. Uh, all right, so our next comic was Green Lantern.
Uh, well, you talk about Green Lantern.
I thought it went too fast. I actually had to back up a couple of times because I got confused when
When?
the planet blew up. What was
Okay.
going on? And I don't know. I just got confused where they're in the middle of looking at Sinestro's multiple lives, and then all of a sudden Sinestro punches First Lantern, and then First Lantern blows up his planet all in the space of like 5 frames.
I thought the
Uh,
pacing was really good up until they randomly showed up with the first Lantern. Like,
right.
I mean, well, we love Sinestro. We
Yes.
really loved Green Lantern because of this of Sinestro.
And
Uh,
Bidge.
huh?
Bidge.
The squirrel?
Yes.
Yes, the squirrel.
The
What
squirrel.
was that line he had?
I leave you alone for a minute.
I want to go there. Hold on, let me find that page here.
That's the one thing I wrote in my notes about it was I leave you alone for a minute. I
How
shot him
about
in the chest.
I think the best cover this week was Green Lantern with the two covers or whatever with all the broken lanterns except for the yellow one.
Yes.
That was really good. And then the introduction with him going screaming with a gun pointing at the other guy's head. Here it is. Lower the construct, Sinestro. Simon Baz means you no harm. Actually, bitch, I kind of already blew a hole in his chest. I leave you alone for a minute.
Yes.
uh,
But it was, I mean, after I figured out what was going on, it's really good, and Sinestro's going to kill people.
how about the fact that Sinestro was the only one to actually harm? Because he said it. He said, you
Right.
actually harmed me because Sinestro's will is that powerful.
There's no way that people aren't going to be killed after what just happened to
Well,
Sinestro.
they're dead, technically, but I'm sure there's going to be a Deus Ex Machina to bring them back.
They destroyed his planet and his people and the woman he loves.
We already established that what's his face can, play with time like legitimately, and so I'm assuming there's going to be a bit of a reset button for a couple of those things.
Right.
You know, but
But
that was, oh man, and then Hal Jordan killed himself. I mean, that's I'm totally okay with that.
he'll be back.
Yeah, bad. Hal Jordan's like, I'm going to throw myself off a cliff like a lemming. I'm like, I'm okay with this.
Like a living. Yeah. I
uh,
the other than Simon, the human Green Lanterns really aren't my favorite. Kyle Rayner's okay.
I love Simon because he's like, because in the storyline, right, the ring goes to him, and it was sent by both Hal Jordan and Sinestro. So he has to have the, careless attitude of Hal Jordan and the I am amazing in all ways planner that is Sinestro. And I love when they meet him. They're like, the ring chose you?
Right.
He's like, yeah. He's like, oh, you're just like Hal Jordan. And then he goes to attack him, and he has a gun on him because he's like, listen, I've seen these rings fail. Like the squirrel guy's like, why are you bringing a gun? Because these rings don't always work. He's like, in time you will learn to trust the ring. And then he brings it, and what does he do? He shoots Sinestro. The gun,
Yep.
and Sinestro's like, huh, maybe he is a little bit like me.
Yeah. But Green Lantern is my favorite of the Green Lantern comic books. That's not true. Red Lanterns is my favorite.
Well, of the Green Lantern titled Green
Well,
Lantern.
on the list of comics, they list all the Lantern comics under Green Lantern. So Red Lantern is my favorite Lantern comic,
Mhm.
just because I think Atrocitus is amazing. Um,
I am Atrocity.
but yeah, no, it was Green Lantern was pretty good. And then our next comic was Stormwatch. I don't know what to feel about it. It was weird. Like
Well, basically hitting the reset button on Stormwatch
I
with
know,
a
but the
quantum physics Deus Ex Machina plan.
so Stormwatch, yeah, it got a reboot and well, not a reboot so much as bringing in a new, well, not even a whole new team because it's got Apollo and Midnighter.
But you said you didn't know how you felt about this.
I don't know. The coloring and the artwork is just off.
Problem is we're coming off of the whole Harry, whatever his name, Eminence of Blades, and what's her face got hit with that devolver ray, the robot chick, and she's all like, exterminate, exterminate, and
Right.
so everybody goes off into the sunset like, yep, and so Stormwatch is kind of like, disbanded at this point. I mean, some of them are either in a coma, dead, or flying off into space. Like, yeah, so how do we bring the team back? I don't know. Deus Ex Machina reset button. We'll have these weird creatures interfere with time in the beginning and completely redo Stormwatch. The weirdest one is, in my opinion, the character, the black chick
Engineer.
who's the engineer, because I'm so used to the other engineer's characterization.
Right.
That was the most
Well, that was throwing me off. Is that all these people are, you know,
and now apparently Apollo's really old.
I don't
Did
think he's
Apollo look really
old.
old to you?
He just got long blonde hair now.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I don't hate it, but
I
it's going
didn't
to take
hate
some
it.
time.
It seems weird. I did like, well, I didn't like, I thought it was hilarious because they totally ripped off Farscape.
With what?
The alien that plays Pilot that's bonded to their ship.
Oh, that's just the Farscape thing?
It looks just like Pilot from Farscape.
Oh, I haven't ever watched Farscape, so.
Farscape is about this giant living ship,
Mm.
and there's an alien that sits in the middle of the alien ship that controls the alien ship. It's bonded to the ship. It can't be removed from the ship.
Mhm.
Guess what's in Stormwatch now on their ship? An alien that's attached to their ship to control their ship who looks just like Pilot from Farscape.
Now, they said the one of the telepath chicks has agoraphobia.
Ginny.
Right. Now, remind me again, agoraphobia is that fear of crowds?
Fear of open spaces.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, so we'll have to see. And so now we move from Stormwatch.
Also kind of a strange reboot Swamp Thing.
I didn't find this one very strange. I mean, they established in the last comic that
Yeah, but
basically
it's
his
got new
human side died.
artwork and his attitude is different than what
Well,
we've
his
seen.
human side is basically dead.
Um,
He's embraced being swapped. It's the complete opposite of, oh, you know what you forgot to talk about on your list of comics here, buddy? You know what comic we just totally skipped over?
what?
Animal Man. All right, so we just realized we just finished Stormwatch. We were gonna talk about. I'm sorry, we just finished.
Swamp Thing?
We were just about to start talking about Swamp Thing. Did we
Well, we
talk?
were talking about Swamp Thing, and then you said Animal Man was also amazing. I said I didn't read Animal Man.
Right. Okay. So I'm remembering myself now. So let's finish Swamp Thing, and then we'll talk about Animal Man because those guys basically go together anyway. So
Right.
so you were saying that Swamp Thing. What were you saying? So you said you thought this Swamp Thing was a little different.
Yeah, he's I don't know. The beginning of it was a little off to me, but the end of it was awesome. I liked it after he got to Metropolis.
See, I think they kind of, unlike the Stormwatch, which came out of left field, the
Right.
Swamp Thing I expected because his human self pretty much died the last comic.
Right, but I don't know, it just seemed a little
He spent the first 3 pages trying to explain how he felt about himself now.
I know, but that's why it was weird to me. I really liked when he was in Metropolis, though, and I thought the Scarecrow was pretty awesome. I wasn't expecting that from the Scarecrow.
I know, right? That was like a weird villain to have in this, but it totally worked.
It totally worked. And now Superman's going to rush down and punch everybody because,
Swamp Thing, you turn this back right now. I'm attacked by fear gas. I don't understand this. I'm going to have to punch you now.
yes,
Truth, justice, and punch, 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 punch.
yes, I'm a man, punch.
That's copyright. We can't say that.
That is straight out of the Superman comic book.
Yeah, pretty much. Um,
Not pretty much.
I know, it's straight from the Superman. I was thinking though about the Swamp Thing comic, what I really enjoyed about it, and I'm curious to see the Superman interaction. I love how he's like, I'll just talk to him tomorrow about this whole not feeling things anymore and feeling like I'm killing everybody. Um, how about that whole, you know what I thought was handled well without being overbearing? The idea that his ties between the Green and being a human being means that he's been basically doing the Green's will completely.
I
You
don't
know
know
what
what
I'm
you
talking
mean by
about?
that.
Okay, so like like how he was like in the Sahara Desert and he destroys the oasis that quote unquote the cedar made or whatever,
Right,
right? And so he talks about how like he had to destroy a like cornfield or something that thousands of people were relying on, and every time he chooses the green over human beings, and he
right,
feels like he's a slave to their will. And then you have that. I think that you have that nice poignant little scene where the green wants him to kill those rats, and you see the rat's blood when he strangles them to death,
right,
kind of like as a microcosm of what he's been basically doing.
right,
So I thought that was really nicely done. It was subtle in a way without like hammering the themes over your head, and I really
right,
appreciated
right,
that. It was mature in a smart way.
right.
So then there's Animal Man. What did you think of Animal Man?
Animal Man was excellent,
As
as usual. I liked, uh, I actually was thinking about why didn't they just have the little girl bring her brother back because I'm pretty sure she could. Not at this point, but if she'd done it earlier, she could have just moved him into a new body like she did to herself a couple of times. So, I don't know. I could see where the mother is just freaking out from everything that's happened since she's normal. Um, and I don't know, just kind of
it's today of the new storyline, just like Swamp Thing.
right. And
And
so uh, I
I
one thing in Swamp Thing I thought was really cool was that I know we're talking about Animal Man, but back at Swamp
fine.
Thing, I really liked how he had fear gas or fear powder that would work on plants, probably because of poison ivy.
Probably because of poison ivy was ingested through carbon dioxide.
Yes. But yeah, so Animal Man was good, and now he'll be off on a new story, and he's not an agent of the Red anymore. Um, so we'll have to see where that goes. I think they said the next issue was going to be the conclusion of the Tights story. So
The what story?
Tights,
Oh,
which is the one he's on right now,
right. I enjoy that he got kicked out of the Red. He's back in his old
is
costume,
back in his old costume. Yeah,
and his life's in turmoil. Like
that
that's
probably means he's going to lose his shape-shifting powers.
right. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He's basically back to normal Animal Man right now. Um, which like his family's in chaos, so he's got to deal with that. And the family aspect, I think, has been really well done in the Animal
Yes.
Man comic. Like it doesn't seem forced. Like his son's death wasn't just like a stupid plot thing.
Oh,
Like
Batman
oh, we have
Incorporated.
to kill off somebody so people care. It made sense that there was consequences,
Right.
and how important family is to Mr. Baker. So
Right.
I really liked it, and I'm
Mr. Baker.
Mr. Baker, Buddy Baker,
To
Mr.
Buddy.
Baker. So I'm excited to see it going forward.
Yes.
And then we come to Phantom Stranger number 7, or
Mm,
Judas Iscariot number 7. Spoilers.
I am
Uh,
not a fan of Phantom Stranger.
yeah, I love the whole mythos. Anything that's got like a god element to it or
Right.
this element, I just kind of squee over. And
Squee.
squee, and
Right.
I'm a man, let me tell you. And
13-year-old girl at a concert.
how did you know what I was doing yesterday?
No, that's from the Swamp Thing comic.
I know. What was I saying though? Oh yeah, so Phantom Stranger. Yeah, what I really enjoyed about it is I enjoyed the Yorkie dog character.
I find the Phantom Stranger to be all over the place.
It is because you have like the serious characterizations, like his betrayal, like this comic, right? You start out with that kind of quiet, poignant scene, ham-fisted a little bit in the church. Then you move to God Dog talking to him, which is
Right.
just a little wacky with his Yoda nonsense. Then you move to him betraying somebody again and getting one of his coins removed. And then you
Jack
have the
Ryder. They
huh?
killed Jack Ryder.
I know, right? He was in a bunch of stuff, wasn't
He's
he?
not even from your comic. Jack Ryder's Batman.
Yeah, I know. They kill up. I was like, I know I've seen this guy before.
Right? Isn't that the guy that does the radio program in the Arkham Asylum games?
I think so. I don't know.
I
All I
don't
know
know.
is they decided to kill off somebody. I think he's Superman because he's related to Morgan Edge. I don't know. So they kill off that guy, and then it goes to the end with the weird stuff that happens with the question, where they get. I'm assuming that was the Spear of Destiny he got stabbed with.
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So you know, and I'm just like,
I don't have a question about that.
yeah. I just
Shh.
I know it was very funny. Claps for you. Claps for you. I'm clapping one-handedly right now.
Mhm. Well, the picture or the cover there with the spear coming out of his chest definitely looks like every picture I've ever seen of the Spear of Destiny. So,
Right, and you are the Spear of Destiny expert.
well, it traces back to my Templar roots.
Shh. Don't reveal, don't reveal those secrets yet. Okay, I'm part of the worldwide Jewish conspiracy, so it's all good. It's all good.
And then our
Like,
last
you
comic.
know, you know about the Illuminati,
Our last comic is World's Finest.
which we really enjoyed,
I
and it
really
was a
like that
little
comic.
weaker, but I enjoyed it still.
I'm glad to see that that is not Michael Holt.
Yeah, it's Desaad, which is another Darkseid character.
Right.
They're basically cleaning up the scraps of the Earth 2 universe in this universe.
Yeah, they are. They are. I like that they break into that place and she's like, they don't even have stuff about parallel universes here.
This place is worthless. Like, did your mom teach you to be a good thief? Yeah, shut up right now.
My mom always said, once you know where the jewels are at, the rest is easy.
I love those Catwoman lines.
Yeah, I really do like World's Finest. I wish they'd hurry up and have her and Batman meet. I want to see what happens then.
There's gonna be bones being broken, and but yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to more.
They would probably form an actual family if they met right now.
Probably. She probably like, I can't have you work with me. Why? Damien's dead.
Damien's dead.
God, Grant Morrison.
Batman. That's okay. I didn't like Damien anyways.
I liked Damien. I
Mm.
hated that. And Hey, how about all those Batman Incorporated references this week? Like they have to, suddenly Batman Incorporated because he killed off Damien is an integral part of this universe.
Oh, that means I'm gonna
Batman Incorporated #4.
go
Superman
back.
Incorporated #12.
I got him, but I haven't read him.
Yeah, those things are garbage. I've read them all, and they're garbage. Let me tell you,
Yeah.
bunch of garbage on top of garbage, wrapped in garbage,
All right.
deep fried in garbage. I'm done now.
Best comic this week.
Best comic? Ooh, that's tough. There was a lot of good comics. I'm going to give it to Earth 2 just because that's a safe bet, but it's pretty much, in my mind, tied between Earth 2 and Green Lantern.
I'm gonna go with Earth 2 because Earth 2 is like my favorite. So,
Honorable mention to Action Comics this week.
Action Comics was
Honorable
very
mention,
good.
which is like,
Uh,
if in terms of improvement from one comic to another, Action Comics wins every month now.
Action Comics was one of the better comics this
It wasn't even
week.
mediocre in the middle. It was one of the
Yeah.
top comics this week.
Green Arrow was also extremely well done this week.
They're just clawing, Green Arrow's just clawing its way up the leaderboard there. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's really good.
Worst comic, Dial H.
Can I still count the rape scene last month in Dialect? Because it had ramifications.
Technically, the rape happened between comics.
That'll be the annual issue for Dialect.
The molestation happened last comic.
Yeah, the survivor's guilt is coming in this comic.
Dial H, I hate it.
What a garbage comic.
Always.
That's it for comic book night.
That's it
We
for
thank
Comic
you for
Book Night.
joining us, and hope to have you listen to us next week.
Remember to support your local comic book stores.
And the internet. Support the internet.
Support the internet.
It needs your help.
Somebody's got to.
Somebody has to. Good luck and good night.